questions.
Chairman, I appreciate you bringing this bill. You probably aren't aware of this, but I get this question all the time as a physician lawmaker from doctors that I work with, and the scenarios that I hear, are truly heartbreaking scenarios, and I'm sure you've probably heard them too. Are you aware that in a lot of circumstances, a mother who is pregnant with a infant that is pre-viable, in other words, if that baby was delivered at that moment in time, 100% certainty that baby will not survive, begins to exhibit signs and symptoms of a medical condition that will be life-threatening? Have you heard these stories?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and are you aware that when somebody is in that particular circumstance, that there are doctors that know what the right thing to do is, which is to terminate the pregnancy because the pregnancy is going to end with the death of that child no matter what? The question is whether the mother survives the pregnancy. Have you heard those stories?
I have, doctor, and if the mother dies, the baby's going to die.
100% of the time, and especially in these circumstances. So the issue that I think that this bill is trying to address are these situations where a pregnancy has not yet reached the level of fetal development where the baby can exist outside of the womb, but because of complications of pregnancy, the mother is no longer able to sustain the pregnancy without losing her own life. Is that the purpose of what you're trying to do here?
That's the purpose, and Tom, honestly, some of the stories I've heard over the last 6 to 8 months have been heart-wrenching, and if it affected me, think how it affected the mother and the family. These women are not going there to get rid of a baby. They're going there to save their lives, and the doctors are performing the abortion in order to save the woman's life. And once again, if the mother dies, the baby's going to die.
And are you aware that a lot of these medical conditions like hemorrhage, infection, are things where physicians are looking at the law as written, and the issue boils down to the fact that in their medical judgment there is 100% likelihood that ultimately that woman is going to die from the signs and symptoms and the diagnosis of whatever condition is beginning to manifest, but they're not dying yet.
I would agree with that.
And so what you're trying to allow for is in those circumstances for a physician to exercise medical judgment to save the woman's life before she's about to die.
Yes, sir, and you've taken the Hippocratic Oath.
Yes, sir.
But a doctor has taken that and is looking there and saying, I don't know what to do. I may go to jail for the rest of my life if I perform this, but if I wait a little bit longer, then maybe I can do that. Well, the mother might die
in
Chairman, that short period of time.
I can't tell you how many times I've had that exact conversation with my colleagues, and I get really sick and tired of having to respond by saying, I don't know. And so I thank you for this bill.
And I don't know is not a good answer now, and we're trying to fix I don't know. We're trying to make it a clear decision for the doctor to make, not for me to make, not for Mr. Lozano to make, and for the doctor to make.
And Chairman, last sort of question is, so again, we are not talking about circumstances where the baby could be delivered and could survive, even in an ICU on life support, but in any circumstance. If it were the case that the doctor could deliver the child and the child could survive, do you believe that's the direction that they would go?
I do believe that, yes.
So the only circumstances that we're talking about are circumstances where the pregnancy has not yet reached any known level of viability. In other words, in order for that child not to die, that mother has to remain pregnant beyond the time in which she has left before she will die.
That's right, sir.
And so these are the heartbreaking circumstances that you're trying to address so that doctors feel like they can actually use their judgment in these heartbreaking scenarios without having to lose two patients.
Tom, thank you very much because you explained it much better than I did. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to work with you as always, my friend. Thank you for your bill.
Thank you.